Hello again. This program today is all about creating mobility through the hips, pelvis and spine, and we're going to start with legs up the wall. So scoot your bottom up nice and close to a wall, swing the legs up and just make yourself nice and comfortable. Now you don't have to have your bottom tucked right up close to the wall. You can be a few inches away. You want your legs to be comfortably straight and relaxed here. So find your perfect distance away from the wall. We're going to just rest here for a minute or two, just letting the back and the pelvis settle, and then we'll do a few hip mobility movements or actions while we're here. So settle yourself in. Make sure your shoulders feel relaxed. Make sure your jaw is nice and soft. You can close your eyes. Arms are relaxed wherever they like. And what we're wanting to do is just let your lower back start to let go and feel the back of your pelvis beginning to spread and relax into the floor underneath you. I heard it described the other day as imagining that your legs are telephone poles and that your pelvis is thick mud, and those telephone poles are just sinking slowly down into the mud. So that's the sense that you want to get of your leg bones sinking into the back of your hip sockets, the back of your pelvis spreading and releasing into the floor. And then just have some nice slow breaths in and out. Just giving yourself that little bit of time right at the start, just to settle into your body, start to take notice of your body rather than living out of your head all the time. Just give your toes a little bit of a wriggle. And we'll start just a gentle action through the ankles, and this is just going to loosen up the ankle joints, maybe start to stretch the hamstring and calves. So just carefully draw your feet towards you and then carefully point them. And just do that nice and slowly and gently. There's no hurry. You find the backs of your heels will kind of rub on the wall a little bit, that's okay. And then we've got a series of movements that most of you will have done with me before. We're going to leave the left leg just relaxed on the wall where it is, and just carefully bring the right leg off the wall towards you and then let it come forward again. And just keep that going. So this is an action from your hip. And you want to keep the leg as comfortably straight as you can. So if you find that that's creating a little bit of tension in your lower back or in the rest of your body, if you find yourself starting to hold your breath as you're doing that, just wriggle backwards off the wall another inch or two. And you might find that action freeze up a little bit. And then, holding that right foot just a few inches off the wall, we're going to move the leg from vertical out to the right and then back to vertical again, and just keep that going. Now while you're doing this, the back of your pelvis is still nice and calm and quiet on the floor. So you're not moving that leg so far out to the side that you're pulling yourself off the floor, or your pelvis or your back is moving significantly. leg. There might be little movement, but nothing major. And then instead of coming just up to vertical, we're going to cross that right leg over the left one and then come back out to the side again. But again, the whole time you're conscious that your pelvis is nice and relaxed and quiet. It's not involved, it's not rolling or twisting around on the floor. You're also not pressing the left leg into the wall, and your bottom's not lifting off the floor. So there's very little effort in any of the body except for that right leg. And then we're going to let that right ankle cross the left one and rest there. Then slide your foot down the leg and back up again. And just keep that going. That's it. And then we're going to bring that right leg free again. Bend the knee just slightly. So you might have a bit more than a 45-degree angle there, a 90-degree angle. You know what I mean, not good at maths. What we're going to do is swivel that leg from side to side. So the knee, if you like, is still going to be pointed more or less directly at you, but the foot itself is going to move from side to side. And what that does, it sets up a rotation through the femur, through the upper leg bone there. I'll think about that angle later. And then we're going to cross the right ankle over the left leg again and see if it can come down just below the knee. So don't force that if that's not going to happen. If you can't have it below the knee, just have it on your shin. And when I say below the knee, I mean towards your body. It's technically above the knee on the leg, but you know what I mean. So have it resting where it's relatively comfortable to do so. And then we're carefully going to bend the left knee and see if you can just bring the left foot flat on the floor. And that might create a bit of a stretch around these right seat bone here. And we're just going to rest here and have a couple of breaths. And then nice and gently untangle the legs there, bring them back up to rest on the wall. That's it. Then we'll do all of that with the left leg. So leave the right one resting on the wall, left leg just comes towards you and back again. So don't overdo that at first. Hamstring might be a little bit tight, that's okay. It also depends on the time of day you're doing this. Sometimes the hamstrings are a little tighter first thing in the morning. After you've been moving around a little bit during the day, they lengthen and loosen up a little bit. Remember, as much as you can, the back of your pelvis and the rest of your body nice and relaxed. And then have that left leg just off the wall. We're going to take it from vertical, out sideways to the left, and then back to vertical again. And just keep that going. So again, there's not a lot of movement through the pelvis. The pelvis, rest of your body, nice and relaxed. And just see if you can notice how well that hip's moving, or feel how it feels when it moves. And then we'll start to cross it over the other leg, back out to the side again. Make sure that's not setting up a sense of rolling through your hips or your body. It's just still the movement at the leg only. Hands and arms are doing whatever you like. We're We're going to come back right at the end of the program and repeat some of these movements, see if it's freed up a little. So just notice how the joints are feeling, particularly the hips as we do these. Then cross that left ankle over the right one, let the foot slide down the leg, back up again. Again, keep everything nice and relaxed. That's not a movement where you want to be pulling the leg in and squeezing towards yourself. It's just an easy movement. And we're just noticing how that joint feels as it's happening. And then have the leg just off the wall again. Partially bend the knee, so not quite 90 degrees. And again, start to wave your shin side to side, or if you like, swivel that leg bone. So it's not a sideways movement towards the floor, it's a rotational movement through the thigh bone. And you might find one leg feels a little bit different to the other. That's fairly normal. You might have a little bit more control over that action in one leg rather than the other. This left leg for me today is waving around all over the place for some unknown reason. And then we're going to cross that left ankle over the right leg again, if you can, below the knee. If not, it's okay. Then when you're ready, bring the right foot flat on the floor. And again, we're creating a little bit of a stretch around the back of that left leg, around the back of the seat bone. Everything else nice and relaxed. If you feel like that's just a strain to come in that position, don't bend that right knee quite so deeply. Just another breath or two here. And then untangling the legs, just letting them rest nice and comfortably back on the wall again. And then, as usual, the awkward bit is extracting yourself from this position. So bend the knees, just gently roll away from the wall and have a lay down, nice and long on the floor there. Stretch the legs out long, give them a little bit of a wriggle. And when you're ready, nice and softly bringing your knees up into your chest, holding on to the knees, having a gentle rock, side to side. And then circling the knees round and round, keeping it nice and relaxed. Changing direction, circle the other way. And coming carefully into the centre, just letting your feet come down to rest on the floor. And then what we're going to do is repeat some of those movements, but without the support of the wall. And we probably won't spend quite as long doing it. What we're going to do though is create a little cradle for the pelvis to sit in and do some of the movements with that cradle in place, and then take the hands away and see if we can maintain that sense of stability. So just hold your hands and with your thumbs sticking out to the sides, and then just sit on your thumbs. So you just tuck the thumbs underneath the bottom on the floor there, and maybe your index finger might be covered by your bottom a little bit. So it's nice and comfortable. It's not holding your bottom up off the floor. You've just tucked the thumb and maybe the index finger under a little. Arms and shoulders nice and relaxed. Then we're going to bring both knees carefully up into your chest, and then straighten the right leg up tall towards the ceiling. And we're going to do just some careful extension and flexion of that hip. So very gently lower the right leg down, stopping when it's just above the floor, and then bring it smoothly back up to the ceiling. And just keep that going. Now that's not quite what we were doing on the wall, but it's exploring the range of movement that you have there in flexion and extension. So extension is when the leg's out low to the floor, flexion of the hip is when the leg's up towards the ceiling. Now keep that going, but just gently untuck your hands and see if that changes the way it feels. See if you suddenly have to work a little bit harder to maintain that stability of your pelvis. Make sure your shoulders don't become involved. Keep your breathing soft. And then we're going to bend that right knee, bring the hands and tuck them under the sides of your pelvis or the sides of your hips and bottom again. Take the left leg up straight, shoulders and arms relaxed, and then lower the left leg down, just above the floor, don't rest on the floor, and bring it smoothly back up. Keep that going there, and just notice how your stability is going. The steadiness through your pelvis and your ability to move that leg without disturbing the rest of your body. And then just gently untuck the hands, just let them rest wherever you like, and see if that changes your ability. See if your back suddenly starts to move a little bit more, if things start to get a bit wobbly or feel a little less stable. That's what we're working on with this. Your core, this is about core stability, your ability to change the load and the forces through your body and still maintain a sense of control and stability through that range of movement. Then just gently bend the knees and let both feet come to rest on the floor. Excellent. Then we're going to tuck the hands just under the sides of your bottom again so it's comfortable. This time both legs are going to come tall to the ceiling. So bend the knees into your chest, take the legs up tall. The left leg is going to stay where it is. We're going to take the right one out to the right and then back to touch the left foot. So careful movements. This is very similar to what we were doing against the wall. Perfect. And then see if you can take the left leg just a little bit forward, just so it's out of the way. Right leg will come out to the side and then cross the left. So again, what we were doing on the wall there. And then see if you can do that without your hands tucked underneath, but maintaining that control through your legs. So the left leg's not moving, the right one's moving carefully with control. Very good. And then softly bend both knees, let your feet come down, a little bit of a break. Let the hips, pelvis relax again, because that's where we're working, around the hip area. And we'll do the same with the left side. So tuck the hands under, or just slightly in around the sides of your pelvis again, so you're creating that little cradle for the pelvis to rest in to give a little bit of support. Knees come to your chest again, legs up tall to the ceiling. So right leg's going to stay absolutely stable, left leg will move to the left and then back to touch the right one. Keep that going. So the idea behind these careful movements that we're doing is that we're establishing a degree of stability over a small range of movement before we start to add load and add more complicated movements into it. Because if you don't have the control over a small range, you're not suddenly going to gain control when we start doing bigger movements and more complicated actions. Now, we're going to take the right leg slightly forward, so it's going to be out of the way. Left leg comes out to the side and then crosses the right. So just get that pattern of movement established so you know what that feels like, holding the right leg steady, moving the left. And then carefully untuck the hands and see if you can maintain that stability without the support of the hands around the pelvis. So again, it doesn't matter what the hands are actually doing. Very good, a little bit more. And then gently bend both knees, let your feet come down. If you want to, give the legs a bit of a stretch out and a rest on the floor, out in front. So now we're going to start to think about rotating and flexing the hips at the same time. So this is slightly different to how we did it on the wall, but it's a similar action. We're moving both legs together. So start again with both knees up towards your chest, feet touching, and then just gently open the knees so your feet are still touching each other. Again, arms and hands doing whatever you like. Then we're going to carefully straighten the legs and then bend the knees again. So your feet, or your heels at least, are touching the whole way. And it's a little bit of a, sort of a frog leg kick. Very good. Now, if you're feeling really stable with that, and because it's a symmetrical movement, both legs are moving in the same way, it can feel reasonably stable through the pelvis because you're not getting that load on one side of the pelvis or the other. It's equal across it. But if that's feeling really good, when you're straightening the legs, maybe take them out at about a 45-degree angle off the floor rather than up towards the ceiling. Now that's instantly going to create a little bit more load again through the pelvis. If you feel like you're losing control, if that lower back is arching up off the floor, or if you feel you have to hold your breath and press your lower back into the floor just to perform that action, then have the legs vertical again instead. Because all that response, all that reactivity through your lower back and that bracing and the breath holding is just saying that that action on the hips isn't quite right for the level of control and stability that you've got at the moment. So you just need to build up to it slowly. Maybe just one more. And then carefully let your legs come down. Give them a bit of a stretch and a wriggle out on the floor again. Bit of a relax. And then one last time, bringing your knees up into your chest. Hold on to the knees. Just have a gentle rock across your back, side to side again. And then gently dropping your feet, rolling over onto one elbow, and bringing yourself all the way back up to sit again. Very good. All right, give the shoulders just a little bit of a loosen off. And then we'll just have a really simple, easy little side stretch. So just take your right hand onto the floor, slide it away a little, create a little bit of a side bend there, and just gently float that left arm over your ear, close your eyes, and have a few breaths here. And then just softly bring yourself all the way back to the center. Same on the other side, so slide the left hand away, a little bit of a side bend, stretching that right arm softly over your ear. A few breaths in and out. Carefully coming back up to the center and relax. All right, we'll come over into cat and loosen up the back a bit more. So come over onto all fours like we normally do. So knees under your hips there, wrists under the shoulders, nice and square. And then just softly letting your spine dip and relax towards the floor. Floating your chin up gently to breathe in. Then head floats down and you gently round up the other way to breathe. And just keep back, just soft and gentle. One or two more. And then we're going to see if we can get that neck moving gently, independent of the rest of the spine. So just resting in that dipped position with your spine just kind of dipped towards the floor there. And then nothing else is going to move except your head and neck, very gently. See if you can let your head float down and bring it up again softly. Just do that nice and slowly, nice and gently. Just kind of exploring, again, the range of mobility that's available through the neck. And then softly come back to the center, so bring your back level again. And then we'll round up softly the other way. So gently let the head float down, round the back up. Now keep that rounded position through your back, but again, just a soft movement just of your head and neck, nice and carefully. And again, you're just seeing what movement is possible there. And then coming gently back into the center. And then just walk your hands back towards you slightly, just so they're a little bit closer and you've got a little bit more control over how much weight you can rest through your hands. You're going to come up onto your fists with the inside of your wrists facing each other and just be reasonably comfortable there. Then see if you can flatten the backs of your hands onto the floor, keeping those elbows straight, and then roll back up onto your fists. And just do a few like that. Now the reason the hands are close to you, remember, is so that you can control how much weight you're resting through those hands and wrists. So don't have all your weight bearing through those arms. Keep it as soft as it needs to be, so you're getting the movement of the joints without straining and without putting too much pressure. Then the next time your hands are flat on the floor, we're going to bend the elbows and see if you can bring your forearms onto the floor, and your chin will be really close to the floor too. Then you straighten up through the elbows and roll back up onto your fists. So we'll do two more like that. So backs of the hands first, then elbows bend all the way down to the floor. You straighten up and roll back up onto the fists again. Last one, backs of the hands first, then all the way down, straightening the arms, back up onto the fists. And then have a sit back and give those shoulders a loosen off and a wriggle again. All right, so we're going to work on the lower leg a little bit, the calves and ankles, and do a deep stretch, a soleus stretch. And soleus muscle is one that runs deep to the lower leg bones. So, from a kneeling position, you want to bring your right foot onto the floor, just next to your knee. Now, it doesn't want to be touching the knee, so you want your legs or your feet about hip width apart, so there's a few inches gap between your left knee and the right foot, but they're beside each other or level with each other on the floor. Now, this right heel is going to stay on the floor, and it's all about just changing the angle of your body to create a stretch up through the Achilles tendon and the deeper calf muscles there. So, very carefully, start to rest your chest, or the right half of your chest, on that right thigh. Now your hands and arms are doing whatever they want to do. They can rest on the floor, they can hold the leg itself. what we're going to do is start to rest a little more of your body weight onto that thigh and right knee, and see if you can tilt forward and your bottom, I don't know if you can see that from where you are, your bottom comes off that left heel underneath you there, but this right heel here is still flat on the floor. And there's a sense, quite a strong sense of a stretch up through into that calf, and it might be in quite deep in the lower part of that lower leg. Again, more weight you rest through that knee, the more chest you're resting on the knee, the deeper that stretch is going to feel. Just another couple of breaths. And then softly ease out of that stretch, and we'll change legs. So you bring the right knee down, left foot is beside that knee on the floor. So again, there's a little bit of a gap between the knee and the foot itself. We're going to rest the left side of your chest on the knee, and then when you're ready, start to tilt forward and your bottom will come off that right heel, but the left foot, as you can see, left heel stays flat on the floor, and from the other side you can see the bottom's lifting up off that heel underneath, chest is resting over that left leg nice and firmly, and hands and arms are doing whatever you like. So again, the focus, if you like, or the feeling is the stretch into the bottom of that left calf. And then softly ease off and have a little sit back. All right, so we're going to change that slightly and add in some hamstrings as well. So from where you are, nice and low, see if you can come into a very deep squat on the floor with your heels flat on the floor. So hopefully you can see my right heel and the left is still flat on the floor. But what's not happening is that my ankles aren't rolling. I'll lean back to show you. My ankles aren't rolling inward. So my feet are wide enough apart so that they're still comfortably flat on the floor. Not the most elegant position, sorry. So from here, we're going to have the fingertips resting on the floor. We're going to let your head tilt down and slowly, slowly straighten your legs. Just let that upper body be relaxed. Then we're reversing that. We're bending the knees. Keep those feet evenly balanced on the floor. And we'll do a few more. So, tilting the head down, slowly, slowly straightening the legs. You're just letting that upper body hang loosely. And then gently bend the knees all the way down. Lift the head up when you get there. We'll do two more. Head floats down, legs slowly straighten. I'm dribbling slightly here, not very COVID safe. It's probably best you're not in the way. Very gently bend the knees. Lifting the head. Last one. Slowly straightening those legs. And relax. And then just step your feet in so they're underneath your hips again. Make sure you unlock the knees. Important that the legs aren't locked back when we start to unroll. And just slowly start to uncurl or unroll. Bring yourself all the way up. And give those shoulders a nice big roll back. Give the legs a bit of a shake out. Okay, we're going to wake up the legs a little bit. So step the feet out a little bit wider than the hips. Again, I want you to make sure your feet feel evenly balanced on the floor. So don't have the ankles rolling outwards or rolling in. Make sure it's nice and even. And then just a nice deep bend to the knees and straighten again. Now your back is staying nice and tall. Now it doesn't mean vertical. So if I do it from the side, you see my upper back is leaning a little bit. As the hips bend, the upper back tilts a little bit, but what it doesn't do is round forward. Very good. A few more. And then relax. Bring those feet in a little bit more evenly again. So we're going to do a couple of balancing movements. This first little sequence is more of a warm-up than anything else. If you feel you need to partway through, you can just hang on to the wall. But we're going to stand on the right leg first. So shift your weight into that right leg and stick the hip out. And just shift your weight into that leg. And then left knee is going to come up forward. Now the knee's going to stay bent, but we'll take the thigh back in line with the other one and bring it up. Keep that going. So from the side, that angle stays at the knee. And again, it's a flexion and extension at the hip joint, and the lower leg's kind of just holding itself there steady. Then, without falling over, just like I did, next time that knee is up in front, what we're going to do is hold it there and straighten the leg and bend the knee. So you're just bending and straightening. Now if that's really tough, you can do a little bit lower angle. And then lastly, we're going to open that knee out to the side. We've done this lots before. Come down in front of the shin, back up, down behind the calf, and back up. There we go. And relax. And then we'll do all of that again on the left leg. So shift your weight into your left leg. Hands can be on your hips or wherever you like. We're going to bring the right knee forward. You hold that knee bent. Take the thigh back in line with your other one. Bring it up forward. And then, next time that knee's up front, we're going to straighten the leg and bend it. Or the knee, I should say. Straighten the knee and bend it. Now remember, if that's really tough, if it means you're bracing, you're holding your shoulders up like this, do it at a slightly lower angle to the floor. And then, next time the knee's bent, take it out to the side, take the foot down in front of the shin, back up, behind the calf, and back up. Relax, and then give those legs a little bit of a shake out. All right, we've got a careful standing balance to do, and this is a nice simple one. Very, very simple movements, focusing on the actions we've already been doing through the hips. So what it's going to look like is that, but it's going to be better than that, a little bit steadier. So we're going to shift your weight into your right leg again. That's the leg we'll be standing on. Again, make sure you don't stick the hip out. You're just shifting the weight to that side of your body. Then we're going to carefully bring the left knee up forward. Keep the knee bent. Take the thigh back in line with the other one. And then there's a little bit of movement to catch your foot. So you carefully use that left hand to catch the left foot. And then just bring your thighs back in line. Now when you're doing that, I felt myself twist then away. Try not to twist. Just hold that comfortably. The collarbone will be open along the front of your chest there. And then very gently, bring the right arm out to the side. And if you feel steady, take it a little bit taller towards the ceiling. This is called Santalunasana. It's a meditating balance, and this is all there is to it. Softly bring that arm down. Carefully let go of the foot. Bring it up to the front again and back to the floor. I think that was a bit wobbly. Didn't practice that before this, so I'm a little bit wobbly. All right, we'll do the other side. So shift your weight into the left foot. So right knee comes up forward. You keep the knee bent, bring the thigh back in line with the other one, and then there's just that little bit of a reach back to catch the foot. Bring the thighs back in line again. Make sure you're not twisting to the right. Now when you feel steady, left arm just floats out to the side first, so there's not too much disturbance. And then if it's comfortable, take the arm up a little bit taller. Then that arm softly comes down. You release the foot, that knee comes to the front, and foot to the floor. And give those legs a shake out again. And then we're going to come all the way down. Have a seat. Bring the soles of your feet together. Walk your bottom in. And have a nice big rock. Right from one knee to the other. And then carefully come up to the centre. A little bit of a butterfly through the knees there. We're going to do a twist we've done lots before. It's called Ardha Matsyendrasana. And it's just going to give the glutes, the top of the hamstrings around the seat bones a little bit of a stretch, as well as the spine, a little bit of a turn and a stretch too. So start by having both legs out in front, sitting up comfortably tall on the floor there. We're going to take the right foot to the outside of the left knee on the floor. Now again, make sure you just feel like you can hold yourself upright when you're doing this. If you can't, if you feel like you're leaning back or you've got to have your hand on the floor to support you, put something under your bottom, grab a cushion or a blanket, bring your hips up higher off the floor, and you'll find you might be able to sit upright a little easier. Now we're not going to use the arms to pull us or pull ourselves into this twist. We're just going to take the rib cage and turn it to the right, and then just wrap that front arm around the front of the knee. So there's no force there, you're not pulling with that arm, it's literally just kind of tucked around there comfortably. And then this backhand, the right one, just touches the floor behind. So again, there's no weight there in that arm. You're not using that arm to hold yourself up. If you need to, again, that means your hips aren't quite comfortable and it means your back isn't comfortable. So you lift yourself higher off the floor. So it's not a gigantic twist. And then nice and softly, let the arms relax, turn yourself to the front. You bring both hands onto that top knee, and this time you do pull on the knee a little bit and grow up nice and tall through your spine. Big breath in, and then soften completely. Let your back round out, let your arms, your shoulders, your head and neck relax. So it's almost a controlled slump. And then gently come back up to the centre and we'll change legs. So this time it's left foot to the outside of the right knee. Might be a little bit of shuffling and settling. Make sure you feel like you can sit upright while you're doing this. Then without using your arms to pull yourself into the twist, we're going to turn the rib cage to the left, so it's just a turn, and then that right arm just kind of hooks around comfortably. There might be a little bit of a stretch around that left seat bone, and that's fine, that's what we're after as well as the turn. So rib cage is turned easily, arms resting comfortably, and this left hand again is soft, it's just a butterfly weight on the floor. You're not leaning on that arm at all. A couple of breaths here, so you're nice and comfortable. And then gently turn yourself back to the front, both hands on that top knee. You grow up nice and tall, big breath in, and again that careful softening or slumping, slouching if you like, relaxing, letting the back round. as you breathe out. And then gently lifting your head, coming back to the centre and relaxing the legs. Okay, we're going to come back with the legs up the wall like we did right at the start. We'll just do a little bit of a feel of those movements, see if anything's changed, and then we'll rest there, and I'll kind of leave you resting there, and you can stay as long as you like. So scoop yourself up close to the wall again, roughly where you were before. Swing the legs up, and again just let them rest comfortably on the wall. And again, give yourself a little bit of time to settle in. Imagine the back of your pelvis spreading into the floor. Think about those telephone poles of your legs sinking into the mud of your pelvis again. So stay nice and relaxed, and we'll just repeat a couple of those movements just very briefly, just to see if you notice any difference in the mobility through your hips with everything that we've been doing. So just see if you can bring your right leg towards you and back again. You might notice if that feels a little easier, or might even travel a little bit further. See how it feels going out to the side, back to vertical. See how it feels crossing over the other leg and back out again. If that's all happening a little easier, a little freer. Try crossing the ankle, sliding it, the foot up and down the leg. And then rest the foot again below the knee, towards you if you can, just where it wants to sit there. See if you can bend that left knee, have the left foot flat on the wall, and just see if that feels like it's as much of a struggle to get that stretch there. See if the muscles have let go a little bit and you've got a little bit more freedom of movement. And then come back onto the wall with both legs. Just do the same with the left. So bring it towards you, back again. See if that's let go a little bit. See if your back feels different as you're doing these actions to what it did at the start. If your breathing is a little easier, less concentrated for the breath, a little bit more easy as you're moving. Try the sideways movement, back to vertical. Try crossing over. And then cross the ankles, let the foot slide down and back up. See if that feels a little bit easier. And then let the foot slide down so it's below the knee. Bend the right knee, foot flat on the floor. And again, see if that feels like a little bit of an easier stretch, or you get into the position with a little less resistance than there was before. And then softly, let your legs find a comfortable spot up there on the wall again. Let your arms relax. Let yourself soften, close the eyes. And I'll let you rest here for as long as you like. So thank you very much once again. I'll put another video up, hopefully in a couple of weeks, if not before. And take it easy in the meantime. See you later.